Basketball teams going through what they went through, the campus going kind of on lockdown now, and the distance learning, starting for the next quarter. Did you guys ever talk about maybe getting off campus sooner and going down to San Diego sooner to get into a different bubble?
We have not talked about that. No, obviously our players, we talk to them all the time about protecting our ecosystem. We are masked whenever we're in the building. Our meetings, we have a few of our meetings, you see the chair setups and the televisions, a few of our meetings. If you have a bigger group, we meet outside. So we've taken all the precautions that we took a year ago, when we were faced with this challenge. So we're continuing just to go through that, but there were no discussions about trying to go anywhere. Right now, it's been about 2 weeks, I think, where there are no students really on campus. It's just been the athletes. So, we talk to our players about what they do when they're not around here, because that's a really important factor for this. And then understand the ramifications if for some reason you did test positive. You're out for 10 days when we're inside of 10 days, so you're not going to be able to play in a game. So, I think everybody's got to be really heightened. And we've talked about it all season long. I think, what this does to us. Just look at what happened to Cal. They went down to Arizona and lost when they only had 44 scholarships, so they had 41 kids out. So we highlighted those things. We've obviously highlighted the basketball. There's been a lot in basketball, I think, recent weeks, and it just seems, it's starting to ramp up. I think the NHL is canceled right now. So we've used all of those examples, and our players, we've been around this group for a while with this, and they've done an unbelievable job, but there's also some variants that it sounds like it's really highly transmissible. So we got our fingers crossed. So.
Has there been any concern or discussion about the status of the?
Yeah, there's always ongoing discussion. Our medical team is awesome, and they lead the charge with everything. So my take is that we've always let the medical team make the decision in terms of where we are, and they've got a really good grasp of it. So any decisions that will be made will be medical decisions. So.
I mean, the bowl game too.
I haven't talked to them. I don't. Maybe they have. I don't have a daily conversation with the bowl game people, but I would imagine that Martin and Josh and Aaron and that group that's the liaisons to them have those conversations. So.
Have you or the medical team talked to your guys about booster shots at all in terms of vaccine? I know you guys.
Yeah, we talk about that stuff all the time. So Ant, our trainer, who's our liaison to all of our players when it comes to medical stuff, has emphasized all of that stuff with our players. And again, we've been really good. I think we're at like 98% vaccinated. So I'm sure the next wave is. And I think we learned today from the university you're going to have the booster shot to be able to be back in the second term. So those are all things that we discuss with our players all the time. It isn't something that, hey, let's talk about it now. Those guys probably can quote me verbatim on protecting the ecosystem. So it's something that we've talked about for a long time now. So.
Have there any players that played this year? Are there some that you could say would be unavailable for the bowl game?
I couldn't say anything right now.
You guys spent Thanksgiving together, obviously, just because the way your schedule worked. Now you're going to have Christmas together. What is that like, having big two family holidays together as a team?
Well, I think it's everybody has Thanksgiving together in college football, just because that's been the nature of the schedule for a long time. But the fact that you have an opportunity to be together on Christmas is the fact that you had a good year. So I think they would take it as a reward. Obviously, the cool part about being in a bowl game is their families can be at the bowl game with them. So we're anticipating, most of the families of our players being down there, and be able to celebrate Christmas with them. The fact that we have so many kids from Southern California to begin with, the fact that we got to play in the Holiday Bowl I think is a really cool thing. So we're anticipating that everybody being together, but it's kind of the norm in college athletics that you'll be spending the holidays together. So I think our players understand it and embrace it, because that means you had a good season.
Talk a little bit about what you see from Akaka Malloy and how he'll fit into the staff.
Yeah, I think he's an outstanding coach. We've obviously played against the Washington coach teams, and then the people that I have a ton of respect for in this profession that had called and recommended him, from guys that worked with him on a daily basis. You look at the players he's produced or helped produce while he was at Washington. We've run into him and know him from recruiting, obviously in our footprint here on the West Coast, and does a tremendous job from that standpoint. And then as you just get to know him, he's just a quality person. That's the one thing that just stood out about Kaika to me, is just what the type of person he is. And I think he'll fit in great with our staff. I think he'll fit in great with our players. He shares the same values and visions that this university and everybody here has about recruiting student athletes and getting them to a place where they can be here for 4 years and become better because of it and the experiences that they have here, and then the education that they'll get here. So I think he'll fit in perfect with our staff, and we're excited to have him be part of it. So he'll hit the ground running for us here immediately, especially from a recruiting standpoint.
What position will he
He's going to coach the outside linebackers.
How does this week's, now that you guys move into kind of game week for the whole week, how does these practices differ from kind of some of the earlier practices you had this month?
They don't. This is really a rinse and repeat from last week. So really, every time we've ever been in a bowl game, we really get 2 weeks added. So this is our second Monday. We may have tweaked the script or two, a play or two, but these guys have had the game plan introduced to them, and now it's we'll do what we do on a normal Monday, first and second down, some 4-minute situations. Tomorrow will be big third down emphasis. Wednesday's practice, because today's a Monday in our world. I know it's not the right day, and people are going to think, what's he talking about? But our Wednesday practice will be red zone emphasis and clutch situations, 2-minute situations, end of the game, end of the half situations. So it's all just really a repeating what went on then. And then our plan was to get our Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday done before we go to San Diego. So we'll leave on the night of Wednesday, which is the 24th in our world, even though it's not a Wednesday in everybody else's world. And then we'll have our Thursday walkthrough on Christmas morning. And then we'll have really kind of back-to-back 2 Fridays, and then play the game. So that's it's really a rinse and repeat of last week's 5-day block that we had. So.
Now on the 2 deep, Mo Austin was listed as a safety. He's the kind of guy who's kind of played corner and safety for a lot of the year and in the past. Is he someone who's kind of locked in at safety just because of depth reasons these next 2 weeks?
I've not looked at any 2 deep, so I don't know what he's listed at. I know Mo's a really good football player, and you'll see a ton of them on in the game. He can play corner, he can play safety. He's a really versatile football player for us. But I think they just put names down because you got to plug names in. So 2 deep besides the quarterback really doesn't mean anything because mostly everybody in the 2 deep plays for us. So.
Is Clancy Pendergast a candidate for the defensive line?
Clancy's here coaching the D-line through the bowl game. We had to get a guy immediately in here, and then obviously with the university, you're not going to be able to hire a guy one day later. There's obviously paperwork that has to be filed, human resources, interviews that have to be had. So we're hopeful to nail down that defensive line job here very shortly.
Is he a candidate long term though?
Yeah, everybody is.
Is he out
Everybody?
recruiting?
He went out recruiting for a week, so he got an opportunity to be on the road for I think 4 days or 5 days in that first window. It was a really short window that first 2 days. So.
What's he brought to the staff as an analyst job before he moved here to D9 thing?
Yeah, I mean, just it's a wealth of experience and a wealth of background. We used a lot of Clancy when we were on the offensive side of the ball, so he would help break down the opposing team's defenses, and they just kind of tell me, hey, what are they trying to do here? What are they trying to do here? What if we gave them this formation, even though we haven't seen enough tape? You understand that system. What would your answer be if you were on that side? So, the fact that we were fortunate to have him, both him, Tim Drevno, and Burns have been tremendous in terms of being able to not only help just from a breakdown standpoint, but they just have such a wealth of knowledge because they've coached for such a long time that it was really a cool setup to have those guys. We know we're not going to have them. They're not going to stay. They're really good football coaches. They're not going to stay in analyst roles for the rest of their lives. But we were just so fortunate to have those guys, and I'm indebted to them because I learned a lot of football spending time with Clancy and Jeff and Burns in this most year. So.
What do you expect? Who do you expect to be the starting punter in the bowl game? Do you have someone right now?
Yeah, we do.
Who is it?
We'll see.
Okay.
So that'll be a Christmas present to everybody.
Good.
All right, thanks, guys.